Andrea Pregoni, who is a professional footballer at Flower City Union, on with us today. Andrea, how's it going?
Good, good. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. It's awesome to have you on again. Thank you for joining us.
Of course.
So, Andrea, can you take us back in time and share how you got involved into the beautiful game?
Yes, so I'm an Italian. I was born in Rome, Italy. So kind of, if you know, I was forced into this sport. Everybody, I always say we don't have an option to choose sports when you're in Italy. It's only soccer, the main sport. So I was introduced to it when I was little. I'm close to the Roma Stadium. So, all my family is a big Roma fan. So it kind of evolved like that. My big idol was Francesco Totti. I'm aware that you probably know him. So he was my idol. That was my inspiration that, he made me fall in love with the sport. I always wanted to be like him. So he was the main reason why.
Nice. I'm assuming you went to a lot of those games, or
Yeah. Since I was little, I had season tickets with my family. So I used to go every game.
That's amazing. Yeah, I know the atmosphere is completely different in Italy than compared to the US, where the US and Canada are still growing, but it must have been nice to grow up and watch those games.
Definitely. And then, yeah, as I said, I lived in Rome, Italy until I was 16. Then at 16, I chose to do a brave move to move here in the US to finish my high school. So I did my junior and senior year here. And of course, the plan was to go more towards the college route because that was kind of, introduced to me. And right before the senior year ended, I was proposed this offer to finish my last U19 year in Spain, in Valencia. So it was either the college route or to start pursuing right after high school, my career. So I chose that route. And from there, it kind of went on.
Nice. So you went from Italy to the US, from the US to Spain. My question is, how were you able to do that? Did you need actually, first of all, why the US? And did you need a visa to come to the US?
So maybe I had to tell you this before, but my mom is half American.
Oh,
So since before 9/11 actually happened, I got my US passport when I was a baby. So I'm a US citizen as well. So let's say my transition. So I went from Italy, US, Spain, and then I played in Portugal as well. So all these countries, visa and stuff I didn't need because I'm a European citizen, and as well I'm a US citizen. So I'm blessed to have those two gifts.
yeah, that's amazing. I wish I had something like that, because
Yeah, that's what everybody tells me.
the visas, man, they're insane. They take so long. They cost money. It's too much.
Definitely, it's crazy, but definitely it's a blessing.
So you had an amazing opportunity to play in Italy, the US, you said Spain, Portugal.
Yeah, recently it was Portugal.
What's your favorite country that you've played in football?
Style wise, or just
Everything.
everything. I think living wise, style playing is Spain. Spain fits me more just because there it's not a lot of physicality. It's more technical. So me as a defender, I'm not the most physical defender. So in Spain, it was an easy transition into it. But again, as I said, each country brings something different. In Portugal, again, it was a good level. I developed a lot of other characteristics. So each country, I got something out of it.
Nice. I want to mention here, I grew up playing in Woodbridge here in Canada. It's an Italian community in Woodbridge, and
Oh,
I
really?
have to drop in. I love my Italians in this video.
Yeah, definitely. Even out here in New York, it's full of Italians. I was shocked when I signed here. They all warned me, "Oh, it's full of Italians," but I didn't expect it would have been like community, and it's crazy here. It's full of them.
It's always good to have your people in different spaces, right? It's nice.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, definitely.
You mentioned you're a defender. What position do you play?
So I play as a right back or a center back. So either position.
Nice. Explain to us, like, how can you play center back? Because I played right back, but I was never able to play center back. So how are you able to do that?
So I started as a center back when I was young. So they always put me as a center back. And of course, when I started my first team experiences, when you're a young player as a defender, you probably as well know this, is they kind of shift you more as a right back because the two center backs or the center backs are more experienced. So when I arrived in the first team, that's when I kind of chose to kind of shift into the right back. But as I said, I think my characteristics as well are suitable because I'm a fast player. I'm a light player as well. So I can play either position. So
Nice. That's great.
Definitely.
And you know, it's probably good for you to understand as a right back the center back position because you know what the center back needs as a right back.
Yeah, definitely. And as I said, each position brings something different. I mean, when I ever play as a center back, my focus is on different aspects than as a right back. Just the movements, or when you have the ball, your vision is different from when you play as a right back. So definitely. But as I said, it's always good to play both positions because you never know if maybe one game, a player is injured or the coach needs you to play somewhere. It's always good to play multiple positions.
Nice. What can you share 3 tips with the viewers that obviously want to go pro, but play in your position, play in the center back or right back position? Can you share 3 tips with them to become a better right back or center back?
Yes, definitely. So the first tip as a defender in general, as a right back, center back, is experience. So play as many games as you can. So that's something that I wish I knew when I was, younger, just because players need to play as many, doesn't matter the level, but it's just experience. The more experience you have, and I saw this with a lot of great center backs I played with, center backs that played in Rangers and high level, they all said the same thing. It's all a matter of experience because you're more aware of situations on the field. So you're more, you know how to react to it. So the more you play, the better. Another one is as well, work on your strengths. I would perfect your strengths. So each defender, who has the speed, who's good in tackling, who's good in maybe distribution. So work on your strengths as well, because that later on is going to bring you to the next level, because, let's say a coach wants to sign a center back or right back, and you perfect your strengths, your speed, your tackles, they're looking for those specific, qualities. So definitely to strengthen your qualities. And the third is, to be honest, to learn from the others. So that's something that I actually saw when I had my first team experiences. I took so much information from other center backs or other right backs that they have more experience than me.
Mm.
So ask them questions, learn from them, see what they do before training, during training, after training. And as I said, the more you learn, the more information you have, the more knowledge you'll get. So
Yeah,
yeah,
great tips.
definitely.
You said something that uh, that made a lot of sense, and I never really understood this at before. I thought it was important just to train, 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 but you didn't say focus on practicing. You said focus on games. Why did you do that?
Because that's something I feel that a lot of people, as I said, I made those mistakes too, that you have an option where you can play games, but then let's say you refuse it because you can play in a higher level, and that's something common because they're just like, no, I can play in a higher league. The option is the more minutes you have, the more experience you get, the more confident you are. And it happened to me where in Portugal I wasn't getting as many minutes as I was getting in Spain. And I could see mentally how that affects you, your confidence. And once you're in the rhythm of playing games, like 33 games in a season, it's a whole different thing because you're more confident, you're more aware, and you feel like you can play against whoever you want. And that's how I felt, because in Spain I had 33 games. So after that season I felt confident. I was 18. So I can tell even mentally, you can train individually as much as you want, but the real training are the games.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And your body probably feels different after 30 games too, right?
Of course, and I always say, in off season, I do a lot of cardio workouts, and then when you do that team training, you're more fatigued, and I always wonder why. Why am I tired? Like I work so hard on training on off season. It's because the training, when you do team training, it's a whole different thing. The movements are different, the pressure, the intensity. So definitely everything is just different.
Makes sense. So, we talked a little bit about your past, now leading more towards the present. How and when did you sign your first professional contract?
So when I was 18, I got offered into a tercera league in Spain. It was a first team. And it was in the league you have professional teams and semi-professional teams. It's like a mix. So I actually signed a semi-pro contract there, even if a couple guys were professional, but I was 18. And after that season where I had 33 games, I was scouted by a second division team in Portugal called Académica de Coimbra. And that's where I signed my first contract, with a, known team. So that was the year after, probably 1920.
Nice. And how did it feel to sign your first pro contract?
To be honest, I thought, I always pictured it as something, okay, when I sign, it's going to be like different. But to be honest, it was like another day, it's just like, okay, it's good. You phone call your parents and it's exciting, but at the end of the day, you have to get back to work. Your focus has to be back to work. So it was honestly like, I expected it. I always visualized it maybe as a big thing. But at the end of the day, after that signature is done, you got to get back to work. It's another day. So it definitely.
Got
And
it.
now, as I said, now I'm here. I was in Portugal before COVID, then COVID hit, and Europe was a whole mess. So then I decided to come here and sign with Flower City Union. So
Nice. But it's still a huge accomplishment, right? So many players around the world, millions want to go pro but don't, and a very low percentage make it. So it's a huge accomplishment to go pro.
yeah, that's something that, and I see at least in a different perspective, because where I come from, I have so many players from my community that are playing in Serie A or big teams. So in Rome, when you sign a contract, it's not valued as much. you know. So here, that's the thing that I appreciate about US here, is that when you're a professional athlete, your value is high. It doesn't matter what league you play in, but you can play even in NISA and you're valued. That's something that I appreciate a lot from this country. Just because in Italy, until you don't make it to the big leagues, you're not as valued. So
Makes sense. Yeah.
yeah,
And the thing with soccer in the United States is that 2026, they're saying it's supposed to be the #1 sport, but we have the World Cup. Canada, Mexico, and the US are hosting together. So that's going to be massive for soccer in the US and Canada and Mexico. So, I mean, hopefully you're still a part of the game and get to experience that time. That'd be
definitely, and it's exciting because the numbers are going to increase.
yeah.
As I said, it happens to every country, especially for the U.S. I think it's in the right direction. From the academies to when the U.S. plays, there's a lot of views. So definitely, it's going to be a big couple intense years for the U.S. soccer.
Nice. What are 3 tips you could share with the viewers that want to go pro?
So, you always hear about the tips. This is something that I was always curious about. You always hear motivation, people talk like work hard, be consistent. But, the realistic tips for me, because I'm a realistic person, so I usually like to give realistic tips. To be honest, you always have to see this as a business. Football is a business, soccer is a business. So what I see is, what I hopefully when I was young, I always wanted to know is, market yourself. So train hard, but dedicate time to email agents, email clubs, create your highlight videos as soon as you have footages. Like, this is parts that will benefit you in the future, because I know so many players that train 4 hours a day. They train a lot, but they don't do the marketing part, or they don't network. And then they always find themselves without options, even if they put in the work. So always dedicate your time, if you don't have a team, of course, to market yourself, to network, email agents. Sit down an hour and email. That's what I used to do too. You go on Google, and on Google you can find anything. So that's one main tip. And of course, as I said, this is another second tip that I always wanted to know since I was young, is this game is a matter of opinions. So one coach can tell you that you're not good enough to make it, and one coach says the opposite. And I had that so many times. So at the end of the day, you have to learn that everyone has an opinion. Who says, who likes Messi, who likes Ronaldo, who likes Van Dijk, who likes Ramos. It's all a matter of opinions. So whenever you get a negative comments or negative feedback, take it as, okay, that's his opinion. Always take it in consideration, but don't take it too personal. So that's a big, actually, advice that I would give to people. And the third one, as I said, be professional on and off the field. You have to act like a professional, even if you're not. So when you eat, sleep, we can only do this live for a certain amount of time. So at the end of the day, you have to be a professional on and off the field. And as I said, professional doesn't mean if you sign a contract on paper and you're considered professional. Professional starts when you start pursuing that dream. you know. So even if you play in an amateur team, act like a professional in the locker rooms, in training, off the field, you know. So that's a big tip that I would give, is be a professional on and off the field. And as I said, it's something that we can't do until we're 50. This is our time, so do it in a professional way.
Nice. You know, I've always heard the work hard, be consistent. These 3 tips I haven't heard yet, and I'm glad you've shared it with the viewers. I'm 100% sure that they'll find value in that. Um, great points. Moving on to the agent part of things, you know, we know that players have a career, but there's also agents a part of the game. Did you have an agent to help facilitate your career, or was that something that you just did on your own?
Yeah, that's something that, you know, I was unfortunate enough to know, is I started all this, the agent part, late, you know. I did all by myself the first 2 years that I actually played on the first team. And as I said, I was fortunate enough to get scouted from a team, so the process was easier. And now, of course, I have someone looking at me, but yeah, that's something that I actually didn't start until a couple months ago. So, and as I said, they play a big part, to be honest. Some people hate agents. Some people, you know, just because there's a lot of scams out there and stuff. By the end of the day, you know, they're part of their business, so you do have to deal with them. You know, so as I said, market, talk with people, agents, email them, and see which one is the right fit for you and your situation. But you do need them in the future, because, as I said, the more you go higher, the more you do need someone, and it looks more professional. So definitely, agents are a big part.
Got it. Why is it important to have an agent?
For as an experience, it's when you go to a club, you always want to go with someone with you, because it's more professional. It seems that you're more valued, because I saw so many players joining the clubs. They came on trial alone with no agents, and the clubs took advantage of it, you know. I don't want to go into details, but, you know, I just saw salary wise or opportunity wise, you know. And if you do have an agent, you know, it's more professional, because they deal with the agent, the club, and it's just a more professional way. So I think, as an image wise, right when you get into a club, it'll give you more seriousness, you know, more professional, if it makes sense.
Yeah, that makes 100%. That makes sense 100%. Um, Leading into the end here, towards you mentioned, well, we know you play in the NISA league right now. What do you like about the league?
So NISA, what I like is it gives opportunities to players that want to showcase. So as I said, the games are intense, because all these players want to move up eventually, you know. So you'll find games are players that want to showcase, put effort into it. As I said, NISA is a great league, because it gives you that opportunity to get back into the system, you know. I know a lot of players that, you know, didn't have contracts for a year or 2 years, you know. So NISA is the league where you do want to start, get your minutes, get your footages, connect, and eventually move up. So that's something that I think it's great for the league, to get these players that want to get back into the system and then eventually move up.
Got it. Second last question here. What is your most memorable football moment?
Um, I feel it's when I was young, to be honest. I thought about this many times. Maybe some people say your debuts, or, to be honest, my memorable moments were when I was young. You know, just playing with friends in the streets of Rome. You know, just having fun, no thoughts, and just playing, kicking a ball. You know, as I said, a lot of players maybe say my debut or whatever, but at the end of the day, it's when I was young and actually started playing with friends.
It's more pure before, it's more fun.
Yeah, more fun, less thoughts. So definitely.
100%. And my last question is, do you ever plan to go back to Italy and play there professionally?
Yes, I mean, whoever knows me, my big goal in life is to play for Roma, for my city, for the club that actually made me fall in love with the sport. So I know, in order to get there, I have to do multiple steps. But that's my main goal, is to go back and play for my city.
Nice. Yeah, that's going to be a huge one. Leading towards the end here, 10 fun questions.
Let's go.
It's speed questions. You got to answer them fast, Andrea.
Fast? Okay.
All right. Who's your favorite? Oh, you already said this, but favorite team?
Roma.
Favorite player?
Francesco Dotti.
Favorite pair of cleats or boots?
Predators, 18.1s.
Favorite food?
Pasta.
Favorite artist?
Ultimo, an Italian artist.
Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi.
I knew you were gonna say that. The first team you would pick in FIFA, let's just say me and you we got $1,000 on the line. Who's your team, your go-to team in FIFA?
Real Madrid in 2016.
2 goals in a game or 1 goal and 1 assist?
2 goals and 1 goal and 1 assist.
Would you rather score a free kick or a PK last minute goal?
PK.
The last one, if you were a coach and you were able to sub in any player in history, not alive today or alive, who would that be?
I would say Nesta. Yeah.
And before we end off here, Andrea, can you just mention your Instagram or wherever the viewers could reach out to you on if they have any questions?
Yes, definitely. I mean, you can reach me out on my Instagram. I actually just opened up a new professional official page. So it's Andrea Pregoni official. So that's my Instagram. Just write Andrea Pregoni, it should pop up. So yeah, feel free to DM me for any advice. I'm more than available. And of course, my goal is to help others as well. I'm fortunate, as I said, to play in 4 countries and 6 cities. So, for my young age, I feel like I have enough experience to as well give advice. So feel free to reach me out, and yeah.
Nice, 100%. Andrea, before you go, I just want to thank you for taking the time for joining us on the One Soccer Nation podcast today.
Definitely. Thank you. It's a pleasure, and hopefully we can meet up soon.
Likewise.